We probably all heard the funny little story about the man who lived kind of a not so good life, and then when he died at the funeral, really good things are being said about him, and the woman told her children, go check and make sure that's your father up there in the casket and we're at the right funeral. Well, in the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 8, Solomon talks about a wicked man who's buried, and he talks about his funeral. In fact, in Ecclesiastes chapter 8, beginning at verse 10, he says, then I saw the wicked buried, who had come and gone from the place of holiness, and they were together in the city where they had so done. This also is vanity. He's saying this wicked man had come and gone from the place of holiness. Maybe that's a reference to the temple, because that's where the place of holiness was for the people of that day. But he says he's come and he's gone from there, but he's still classified as what? A wicked man. And yet at his funeral, obviously that's kind of ignored. And why would someone neglect that about a man? Why would someone neglect that about his own life even, and live a wicked life, even though he knows what holiness really is supposed to be like? Well, maybe it's because in the next verse of the fact that he thinks that he's getting away with it. In fact, Solomon goes on to say in verse 11, because the sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men are fully set in them to do evil. And you know, I know we understand that when the death penalty is given to an individual, that individual may live 20 or 30 years on death row before it's actually carried out. I'm not here to talk about the inadequacies of our justice system or anything like that. However, we do understand that when punishment is delayed, when punishment is not given speedily, as this text says, that people will be more inclined, I would be more inclined to think, well, I can do whatever I want and I can get away with it and I'm not going to suffer because of it. He goes on to say, though a sinner does evil 100 times and his days are prolonged, yet I surely know that it will be well with those who fear God, who fear before him. But it will not be well with the wicked, not will he prolong his days, which are as a shadow, because he does not fear before God. Even though the wicked man may get away with this for days, years, decades, it's still not going to go well with him, because a judgment day is coming. In fact, isn't it interesting that he says that this wicked man's days are as a shadow? You think about a shadow, do you want what's a shadow or do you want what's substance? The wicked man's life may appear to be great, but it's just a shadow. And you know, the more the sun sets, the longer the shadow gets. Maybe there's an illusion here, as some have suggested, that it's talking about eventually the sun will set, the shadow will leave, and darkness comes. That's judgment for the wicked man. Live your life not in the shadow or as a shadow. Live your life in the substance of serving and fearing God.